All right, it's Gary here from Restore Solutions. I have Brett Cole here. We're up here at the Australian Indoor Building Management Symposium, and Brett did an awesome presentation, and part of his presentation was talking about chlorine dioxide. Now, Brett, can you just tell people that are watching this maybe 20, 30 seconds about yourself?
Yep, sure. No, thanks, Gary. Brett Cole from Biosafety International. We a high-end biorisk consulting company, but we also project manage high-level decontamination in high containment and sort of those regulatory defined industries. So agricultural facilities, quarantine facilities, and where they're handling genetically modified organisms, so OGTR, Office of Gene Technology regulated licensed facilities. Under those regulations, they need to fumigate annually to allow for safe entry and trades to go in and do preventive maintenance work, and we use chlorine dioxide gas to fumigate. It's recognised under the Australian standards. We validate for it using biological indicators, and we've been doing that for well over 12 years.
Wow. So you've had a lot of experience using chlorine dioxide.
Yeah, definitely, particularly in the controlled environments, so food and beverage, pharmaceutical industry, the high containment, which I've just mentioned, and healthcare as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of the product, they're using it in now actually in the mold cleaning now.
Yes.
And also, what do you think the benefits? A lot of people are using hydrogen peroxide.
Sure.
What do you think the benefits would be? Safety benefits or benefits being used for chlorine dioxide over people that would want to use, say, hydrogen peroxide?
Look, I think for the most part, chlorine dioxide is a very versatile chemical in both liquid and gas form. So in liquid form, it's food safe. We've had it put through the HACCP program, so it leaves no residue. So nor does hydrogen peroxide, as long as it's pure hydrogen peroxide. The problem is nowadays that they're putting a lot of additives like peracetic acid and other things in it, which can then obviously have secondary issues. What I like about pure chlorine dioxide is it's food safe, leaves no residue. It's actually not as heavily affected by organic load. So if you have areas where it's dusty and you haven't cleaned properly, or you're doing a once over sort of clean disinfection, chlorine dioxide is not as affected as hydrogen peroxide and some of the other ones like bleach, where that organic load can actually reduce its efficacy, which is not what we want. If we're using a disinfectant or a sterilant, that's what we want to use. In gaseous form, it's far superior to hydrogen peroxide vapor. Hydrogen peroxide at room temperature is actually a liquid. So they raise the temperature, they put it into a cold room, and it does get around like a fog, but it eventually will fall out and condense because it's affected by gravity, it's affected by temperature regimes. Chlorine dioxide gas, on the other hand, is a gas above 11 degrees. So if you've got a room like this, which is at 22 degrees, chlorine dioxide exists as a gas in gaseous form, filling the room full of a fumigant. Gases do what gases do, they fill every void. So you're not getting shadowing effects, you're getting under surfaces. It's not like UV where it's line of sight. So it's superior. By virtue that it is a gas, a true gas at room temperature, that gives it great dispersion, penetration, qualities as well. And it's a registered sterilant, so it's killing spores, it's killing all the things like bacteria, vegetative bacteria, molds, funguses, viruses, and everything. And that will do that to what we call a log 6 reduction, which is a sterilization cycle.
And I do like that it's an alkaline rather than an acid, and being a good cleaner, especially for mold, cleaning the mold off the surface, physically removing it off the surface. When people are using peroxide, we don't know what acid they put with it. Maybe it can have secondary damage on floors, and
it's possible.
Yeah.
All of those things are possible. Look, any chemical, including chlorine dioxide, has a potential to they're oxidizers, so there is a chance, depending on the material, that it can be detrimental to the material, and that's where we always do material compatibility spot tests, like you would with anything, even household cleaners. The chlorine dioxide in liquid form is more or less pH neutral, slightly alkaline, but more or less pH neutral. So there's no issues with basic or acidic attack on materials. So it works really quite well from that perspective.
That's fantastic. No problem.
Great. Excellent.
Well, mate, thanks so much for your
You're
time,
welcome.
mate. Really appreciate your time.
No problem at all.
And mate, you've been fantastic here at the conference.
Great, thanks,
And
Gary.
everyone's learned a lot. And
Yep.
mate, appreciate your words about chlorine dioxide. Thanks so
No,
much.
it's all. Pleasure. Always
Thank
happy
you.
to be an advocate for it. Thanks
Appreciate
again.
it.
Good on you, Gary.